How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to Speed Turtles. Today, we're going to be doing something pretty common on YouTube, and that's making a top 5 list. And the list we'll be working on, as you saw, is the top 5 villains, in my opinion, that are not Eggman. So without further ado, let's get started. Just one more thing before the video starts, make sure to like and subscribe so that I can continue to make these videos just like this one. And let's begin with the first villain, which is Serge the Tenri. Now I know a lot of people don't really read the IDW comics and just focus on the games and movies, but I really recommend them. So, for those people that don't read the IDW comics, Serge was taken as a child, and she was put under training in mind manipulation by another villain by the name of Dr. Starline. Now, Dr. Starline is like this platypus guy, and he's kind of like, if you watch the movies, the Agent Stone of the Sonic comics. Well, the IDW comics, because, you know, in the Archie comics there was Sneedly, but we don't really want to talk about him, or any more of Starline, because, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of the obsessed with Eggman characters because, you know, like I just mentioned, it's been done so many times, I'm kind of sick of it. But I digress. What makes Serge so good is what her story makes the reader think about. You think about her hatred towards Sonic because it's, you know, all she knows. She was raised practically, I wouldn't say created, but I would say given her powers just to kill Sonic. She was supposed to be kind of like Starline's greatest creation. Someone who could take down Sonic so that Starline, I guess, could like impress Eggman. But you know, naturally, Sonic had the upper hand when it came down to their actual fight because, you know, he has so much experience. He's literally Sonic the Hedgehog. And this random decides that she can beat him? I don't know. But you feel a little sympathy for Serge, at least I do. She was created, and practically since the time that she could even comprehend, her life's goal was to kill Sonic. And knowing that when it finally comes down to the actual fight, she can't, it's kind of heartbreaking. And how everything that she does, Sonic seems to do better. It's a little bit crazy. I wouldn't say she's like the Scourge of the IDW comics, but because you know, he's just Scourge, and he's not on this list because I didn't really want to cause an uproar in the Sonic community because I know that Scourge is kind of has a mixed opinion in, like I said, the community. As someone who likes to draw, Serge and her friend Kit have an awesome design, and you have Evan Stanley to thank for that. She also has an important role in the most recent arc, which at the time, the most recent arc at the time of recording, and I've dubbed the Phantom Rider arc. All of those comics are on YouTube for anyone who wants to read them. And, you know, with that, we have our next villain, which is Fang the Sniper. Now, I'm going to be biased here. Fang is one of my favorites because he was in one of my first Sonic comics. That comic was the Archie Sonic Speed of Sound graphic novel. In that graphic novel, there was a fighting tournament, and with, you know, naturally, Fang in it. Now I am, and forever will be, a sucker for fighting tournament stories. Maybe that's why I like the Cell game so much in DBZ. So if my first introduction to a character is through a fighting tournament, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to take a liking to them, and I'm going to remember them. Naturally, when there's a cool character with a cool design, you want to know more about him. And I found out that he was first in a game called Sonic Triple Trouble for the Game Gear. He was, you know, that game is kind of a game that's like Sonic 3, but like way worse. It stinks that Fang had to be his first introduction through that game. Then I found out that he was in a game that I've always been interested in, and that is Sonic the Fighters. Again, a fighting tournament game. I know, big shocker. But now, if you guys want me to do a video on Sonic the Fighters, just tell me, because, you know, I would totally do that. And as I write this script, I realize that my reasons on liking these villains are repeating because, naturally, I really like Fang's design. I mean, with the cool hat and the pop gun, what's not to like? Also, as a collector, it's really nice to see Fang being included in, figures and plushies. And yes, I know he was in the 1997 Sonic the Fighters plush line, but I'm talking the GE plush and the Jack Pacific figures. This next villain is going to be a little bit of a controversial topic, but this is my list. So, the next character is Infinite. Okay, before you click off the video, just hear me out. Infinite has a kind of a decent backstory. He's kind of like Anakin Skywalker, where he was corrupted by evil and then, joined the bad guys, aka Eggman, in this scenario. But where Anakin became good in the end, Infinite, died bad. If you don't know, Infinite's backstory was told, at least, I know there was a comic about it, but I can't really find what comic that was in. But the way I found it was through the back of my Infinite figure on the, the back of the cardboard on the figures, on the Jack Pacific figures. It gives you a brief summary of the figures. It says, this mysterious mercenary was once the leader of the Jackal Squad that was later hired by Dr. Eggman when they attempted to raid his lair. So if you didn't get that, it was basically talking about how, Infinite was a leader of the actual resistance against Eggman, and then he, started, I guess he saw the power of the Phantom Ruby, wanted it for himself, and left the resistance and joined Dr. Eggman to become a reality-shifting, cool guy, I guess, and as we all know from episode Shadow, he wears the mask because, Shadow messed him up, so, anyways. That's why I love Infinite, is because, his cool backstory, I hate him for doing that, and anyways, I can't really explain, thinking back on it, can't really explain why I like Infinite. I kind of just do. Maybe because, Sonic Forces was, a game I got for Christmas from my Gram. Thank you, Gram, if you're watching. Maybe it just holds a special place in my heart, even when it's trash. I know it's trash. But, anyways, let's move on to the next villain, which I know this one everybody loves, which is Metal Sonic, specifically Neo Metal Sonic. Now I know what you're thinking. You must have run out of ideas and just chose the second most popular villain for the second entry, but honestly, that's simply not true. I love robot characters. Something about a metal human that has rocket boots is just so cool. Of course, I would not like if they were real because, they would take over the world. But you get my point. Now, if you created a robot with the speed and power of the way past Cool Hedgehog, that's a cool idea to me. One of my favorite parts of Metal Sonic is his transformations. I know someone in the comments is going to say that Mecha Sonic and Metal Sonic aren't the same person or the same robot, and I know I'm just going to count them in this. So we got Mecha Sonic 3.0, and then we'll move on to Modern Sonic. We got Classic Metal Sonic, Modern Metal Sonic, Metal Dragon, Sonic, Metal Sonic 3.0, Neo Metal Sonic, Super Neo Metal Sonic. Yeah, and the Prime Sonic, Prism, or whatever his name is. Chaos Sonic, that's it, yeah. Chaos Sonic, he's cool. It's just so much forms, and to me, that's amazing, and I love that. Just like Scourge, what makes Metal Sonic so good is his determination to be the better Sonic. The reason why I put him above Scourge is, he kind of did it first, but, It seems like every time Metal Sonic speaks, it's a line about how he's better than Sonic, or the better version of Sonic. Now, I'm not saying I like characters with egos, because honestly, sometimes it gets annoying. Sometimes Sonic's ego gets annoying. But I'm just saying how he's so determined to be better than Sonic that it takes all of his power and puts it in to becoming better than Sonic. Another thing about his determination is I feel Hollywood does that stupid robot, is bad and then learns good story too many times. I love how Sega knows that Metal Sonic was designed for bad and he stayed bad. he's still a villain, even to this day, after all these years. And yes, I know they did that kind of with like my favorite character, Shadow, but don't really count because, you know, he's a separate entity from Metal Sonic. And for anyone who's wondering, I'm not counting Shadow as a villain. He's more of an anti-hero. One more thing before the video starts, a word from our sponsor, myself. Honestly, I don't have a sponsor yet, but I really want to try to get to 600 subscribers and, you know, all that. So if you don't mind dropping a subscribe, that'd really help a lot. I like to do different sort of Sonic things like this. And thank you for all those who stay subscribed. I know it took a long time for this video to come out, but just thank you guys. Alright, so let's finally get into our last and final villain, which is Metropolis the Dark. Now, as the time of recording, I am playing through Sonic 06, and I really like Metropolis. Dan Green did such a good job as him, and as a diehard Yu-Gi-Oh fan, it was nice to hear his voice in the game. If you don't watch Yu-Gi-Oh and you're a normal person, Yugi is the main character of the show, and Metropolis' voice actor, Dan Green, does Yugi's voice. What I think is really funny about Metropolis is well, not really him as a character, but the form he takes is a Shadow clone of Shadow. I mean, how ironic can you get? I mean, if you really think about it, he is the first villain to actually kill Sonic. Eggman never did that. Metal Sonic never did that. No one has ever done that except for Metropolis. I mean, I love Metropolis so much. I have a Metropolis plushie and figure. A lot of the same things can be said about Fang and Metropolis. One is that I just wish they were introduced in a better game so that more people would know them and grow to accept them. And another thing I like is how Jax and GE are bringing these guys into the market for merch. And please forgive me if I'm pronouncing this right, the finest Metropolis skateboard looks really awesome. It's the only Sonic skateboard that I've seen in real life. Not counting the one that they sell at Walmart, but actually like a legit good board. It's the only one I've seen in real life, and it's awesome. And hey, maybe I'll do a video. Maybe this is a teaser for my next video. Is Sonic 06 really that bad? Wink, wink. But anyways, that's gonna pretty much wrap up the video. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to comment down below what is your top 5 favorite Sonic villains that are not Eggman. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.